kind of learn, because the internet came out, and I was like, I kept myself busy. And they tried that from 14 to 16, but I just was getting into trouble. So, or maybe it was 14 to 15. I can't remember, 13 to 15. But they sent me to this program called the Academy at Swift River. The Academy at Swift River is, or it was, a psychotic place where everyone else there was like super, I guess I could say, down on their luck, but it's people that were like serially abused as children, people that like were in multiple foster homes, serious like heroin drug addicts. Like this was a school for like places where every other school was like, we can't handle them. And my parents were just like, oh, that's convenient and close to us, and it's a boarding school. We'll send you there. And I was like, so I went there, and I was like far and away, like I was there, I was in the hood is what I'm gonna say. Like when I say the hood, I mean dangerous everywhere. Okay. Like these guys were, everyone was wild. It was a mixture of people in gangs, a mixture of like psychotic, like schizophrenic people, like everything. It was all walks of life, and all of them were serious business. But anyways, I was there, and it was like a school, but it was like a therapy school, and it was very, very, very strange because you do a lot of group therapy and things like that. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm just kind of an asshole a little bit. And
wait, are both your parents Jewish?
Yeah.
This is like a whatever Jew question, I guess, but like don't your people like value higher education and all that stuff?
Well,
wasn't that kind of weird?
It was an accredited school.
Well, sure, but it sounds like they're basically sending you to like last effort. Like this kid is like, how many people from Waterline Rehabilitation High School go to Harvard or Yale afterwards?
It was expensive back then. So this was, so I would have been like 16 or something. So that's like 20 something years ago. It was $65,000 a year back then. So I don't know what that is today. But
damn,
that was
like Emma Vigeland tier school.
Yeah, but it was a full boarding school. You weren't allowed to leave. It was, but the thing,
that's like, do you know how much money that is?
That's a lot of money.
That's like in current day dollars.
That would be a lot. But it's a boarding school though.
Yeah, but that's cheaper. What you did was like 3x the cost of like out-of-state private school tuition with full room and board. Like what? That's insane.
Yeah.
What do they mean today's sales? Like 130K or whatever for high school?
Yeah, for 18 months. And I mean, it was a crazy experience.
Did they reform you? What was the craziest thing they did there to you?
Well, for the first 60 days, I lived outside in a tent, not a tent, under a tarp, and that's what they do to break you.
Okay.
Like literally, like because remember, everyone else coming in there was like a serious, like, up. Like it's not, and I don't want to say like everyone there was mean, because it wasn't just all like gangbangers or something. There were just kids that went through a million foster homes. There were kids that were like sexually abused multiple times and were lashing out in school. It was the gamut of like everyone that was like broken and couldn't make it in school. And then I don't know why they took me in the first place. I mean, yeah, I got kicked out of school.
If you were going to pay the money for it, they're probably like, hell yeah.
I did. I got kicked out of school. I have a funny story. Actually, quick side tangent.
Okay.
Before I went here, my parents tried to get me into another school. And as part of when you're interviewing for a school, you send your kid there for a day, and basically they observe how you do. And when I went to this school, during my one day, I got in a fight and I punched another kid in the face on your intro day. And I remember when
what did you even get in a fight about?
I think it was like the tough guy at the school. Right? Like, I mean, I don't know what grade this was. This was like 7th grade.
You were like, if you don't beat someone up on your first day, they're going to rape you. They're going to take you out. You got to show them you're a man.
He was coming up to me and he was all like Giga Chad. Like, you think you got what? I don't know. Like, he was just like being a prick. He was like the bully or whatever of this grade. And I was like, you think this means something to me? But anyways, I punched the kid in the face. And apparently, like, there've never been fights there before. Anyways, they still let me finish out the day, but at the end of the day, when they came, they told my dad, and they're like, so we don't think Dan's going to be a good fit here. And they're like, why? Why do you say that? And it's like, well, he punched a kid in the face. And my dad looked at me, and he was like, I could see at that moment, like on the drive home, it was like a mixture of like, yeah, like I think it was just like, he couldn't believe the situation, but he also thought it was kind of Giga Chad a little bit. Like, this piece of shit, I spent so much time getting you an intro to get to this school, and you punch someone in the face. So it's like kind of like laughing at the situation. But anyways, yeah, the Academy at Swift River was nuts. The whole school, they put you out in the woods for the first 1 to 2 months, depending on how long it takes to break you. And normally it's 30 days. But the problem is I came in there mostly normal, not much different than I am now. So they kept trying to like break me down more, as if like,
What, were they like killing you, like beating you up, or what?
it was harder than boot camp, like real boot camp for the military.
Okay.
So they had a former drill instructor that was the guy that was in charge of doing it out there.
Sure. To be clear, just real quick, because you did boot camp because you went into the
Coast Guard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because there's might be some people that don't know that, so they think you're saying it's harder than boot camp. Like, well, what would he know?
Oh, sorry,
I just wanted to for the audience. Go ahead. Yeah.
So it was like definitely harder. By the way, for anyone talking shit on Coast Guard boot camp, quick thing: it's the second hardest boot camp to pass after the Marines. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead and Google it. It's
Wait, I didn't even know that.
yeah.
Wait, I thought they have different boot camps.
They all have different boot camps. Navy, Coast Guard for enlisted people. Yeah.
Why?
I think it's mostly because you have to learn specific stuff about what you're going to do. So if you're in an Air Force boot camp, it's going to be based around like learning things about, I don't know, planes and aircraft carriers and like that, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. I thought boot camp was like basically just like conditioning and like learning broadly about the military, and then you went more.
Yeah, it is,
specific,
but
right?
it's very much segmented for each unit, because they teach you like the stuff I learned, the ranks that you learn, they're Coast Guard ranks. They're not Navy ranks. They're not Army ranks. So it's like different. And you go in there and they're like, this is how you put out a fire on a 41-foot
okay.
Coast Guard thing. And, you know,
And then like Air Force boot camp, it'll be like these are the types of chairs that you have.
For
in your
anyone who's
office.
considering
Oh, got 'em.
enlisted in the future, it's like 80% schooling while you're in enlisted boot camp, and like 20%, you know, making you run around and do a lot of effort like that. So it's not too bad. But with this, it was 80% just making you run around and do push-ups, and you're just exhausted and beat, and that's it.
Do you have to know? You have to know all the ranks from the other people too, right?
You have to know, yeah, when you're in there, you have to know everything.
From like the Army and the Navy.
No,
No?
only Coast Guard people.
Wait, do you have to? Don't you have to salute like you have to salute people from other branches, right? Or not? Like if a commander, master, army, general, sergeant from like the army came up to you, would you have to know
they're all
like
the same
salute
ranks
him,
for
or?
officers? I don't think they are. No, they're not, because I know. Look this up once. So you have like ensign, lieutenant commander, like that. But there's different ranks for officers. So I didn't know any of them, but I mean I know typically if you see like gold bars or like that here, like the only thing you know is if it ain't petty officer or chief or senior chief or anything like that, you know, you ain't saluting. You're just saying, hey, what's up, homie? That's it. But
Is there anybody that would salute you? How do you get saluted? Do you have to be a certain rank?
you have to either be a chief, you have to become a warrant officer,
Okay.
which you can do as enlisted, like you work there long enough, and then you can become a warrant officer, or you have to go and go to college first.
Okay. Oh yeah. Wait, you didn't go to college. You went into the military, right?
No,
So you started off as a
nothing.
dirt.
Yeah,
Into
I
the
was the
dirt.
dirt.
Oh my god! And you got all the way up to masters. Oh.
Yeah, right.
Well-
Yeah, I got up to master dirt.
Are you MD 944?
The does that mean?
This guy made a post on a subreddit called "Troubled Teens."
Oh yeah, that's what they called. Yeah, there's a book
That's what
about
they called what?
There was a very famous book. I'm not in it.
This is a guy. The title of this Reddit post is "I went to academy at Swift River.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I was gaslighted and brainwashed into believing I was an addict when I wasn't.
Yeah, that sounds about right. This was a
I'm now
seriously.
living with the repercussions and am exhibiting all the symptoms of having survived a cult."
Yeah, it was really bad. There's a famous book about it. If I remember it, trouble. It was basically like not half, maybe a quarter of the people. Like they have these peer groups there, and I think a quarter of them from each have ended up killing themselves by the time they're like 30. What It Takes to Pull Me Through, I think that's it. I can't remember. Anyways, crazy experience, crazy school, but for the most part I just kind of coasted through after the first miserable experience of it, like there, and they just because they had their hands full with wild childs, and I was just sitting there like watching from the sidelines.
Jeez.
This is all in the Patreon lore video, this plus 3 hours more of
Which Patreon?
On our Patreon.
You were supposed to say patreon.com/anything else.
Yeah, that one. Like one of the first posts there is that lore video if you're curious about that. But yeah, that was a surreal experience. But don't feel too bad. But man, the craziest part there was that all of the therapists were like bachelor degree, fresh out of whatever, UMass or whatever college they came out of. You have to remember back then,